Oh, hey everybody. Sam Dennehy, Halfass Customs. Today's special guest, Dave Milburn. Don't know if you guys know Dave Milburn, but Dave is the famous Dave from Dave's Decals. My go-to decal guy for most of my my movie, Hollywood, TV vehicles. He's created the Ghostbusters decals for me. Most of all my other decals that you've seen me post online, he's created, except for the lowrider ones. He didn't create those, but everything else he's pretty much created. So that's a special guest. I can't wait for you guys to hear what he's all about. And obviously, we'll have a link to his Facebook page and his website. So if you guys are inquiring about any of the decals you need, he can pretty much make them, and his catalog of decals are extreme. He's got like 1,000 different pages of decals. He's an amazing guy. So without further ado, let's check out Dave's Decals.
Hey, that's good.
All right. Looks like we're recording. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Customs, and this is Halfass Presents, the podcast. Like I said in the monologue, Dave Milburn, aka Dave's Decals. Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in this hobby, or in this business of the hobby?
How did I get in the business of the hobby? Well, as we were talking before and nobody else was here, it all started a long time ago when I had I bought all this in-scale stuff at an auction, and I found myself, like so many did back when the recession hit, unemployed because my plant shut down, and I was a maintenance supervisor, and so I had nothing to do. So I was going to put this big train set together. It was all in scale. Well, somewhere in the 25 years from the time I bought that stuff to that 25 years later, I did not see as well as I used to see. And so in scale was a whole lot smaller than it was 25 years prior. So,
right.
So I started selling it all on eBay, but I had these kits and I didn't have nothing to do. It was winter time. So I started putting a few of the kits together and I was throwing them on eBay and I was selling them. But I really didn't want to do that, all that. I honestly didn't want to do that. And so there was a train shop up in Paducah, near where I live at. And I heard their commercial on there. So I'm like, I'll run this stuff up there and see if they want to trade them off or buy them from me. Just buy them outright is what I wanted. So I went up there. And he had a bunch of HO scale that was in a flood. It had no instructions, no decals, none of the paper product or wood product, anything like that that went with it that was water soluble, so to say, was no longer with it. And it just the kits were left. And they mostly were in plastic bags, unlabeled. Didn't even know what kits they were. They were just in bags. I still got a few of them out there in the shop. And I had these really pretty in-scale kits and boxes all wrapped in plastic that looked good on a shelf. So he was wanting to trade me like 3 HOs for like 1 end. I'm like, that sounds like a good deal. So I did that, came home, started building them, but I had no decals. So I started buying some decals online. And to put it kindly, I was less than impressed with a lot of what I got. And I knew I had the technology. I knew I had the skills because a long time ago, I used to work at model making and mold making for a ceramic company and painting all of their stuff and graphics and things along those lines until I went out in the world and got a real job, so to say, something productive. And I was like, well, I'll just make my own. And so I started making my own. And then I had a few people ask me, because I wasn't in any train groups, any hobbies, any things like that. I was just sort of just out there, just like everybody else, just a little lone profile on Facebook. But a few of my friends made models. I didn't really know it. And they're like, and I posted them, all proud of my work and stuff. And they weren't that good then, trust me. And they asked me, where'd you get your decals at? And I'm like, I got them at, I made these myself. And they're like, hey, would you sell me some? I'm like, I'll give you some. And so they got them and they tried them. Like, dude, these are like some of the best decals I've ever used. They go, you need to sell these. I'm like, nah, not what I'm looking to do. But that kept happening over and over. And so I started putting a few of them up on eBay and a few other places. And well, about 9 or 10 years later, however long it's been now, I guess it's been about 9 years now, here we are. I'm still making decals. I'm still building models for people. And I'm not having to punch a clock for the man so much. I punch it for me and all that good stuff. Believe me, it's more work doing this than it was working for somebody else because I have no downtime.
Right. But hey,
That's
you're your own boss.
that's the Cliff Notes version of a long story. I guess I could have started with Once Upon a Time.
No, that's cool though, because I don't know how many of my viewers know of you. I always reference you when it comes to most of my builds, because most of my builds I've done with your decals, all my movie cars or whatever. And so I always reference you.
I appreciate that.
Hey, I appreciate that, because I'll tell you what, if it wasn't you making it, I at the time before I knew of you, I didn't know anybody that was making decals for anything. And I knew there were huge companies out there like Circuit City Decals or whatever, but I didn't know them, and I don't know their product. I don't know if they do custom work. You, I don't remember even how we first met, but I know it was Facebook. I think I asked you if you could, and I think you said you could give it a try or something. And I sent you a car, and you measured it out and got it all to work right and everything. And it was a perfect match in heaven, because we've been dealing with each other ever since. And I'll still go back to you, and I still reference you all the time.
Well, the thing I hear from a lot of people is they'll contact some of these other companies. Now, I don't know. I'm just telling you what other people have told me. They'll contact some of these other companies and they will never hear back from them.
Oh wow!
Because they just, I get, and to a certain extent, I do understand that, because I get a lot of inquiries about decals, and there are days where it's like I just want to go down and just delete. I don't have time, but I try to answer everybody, and if I don't answer them, it's either because I ended up in their spam folder because I have my own domain name. And so, MSN or Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever says this guy's a spammer, and they send me to spam, and then they never get their reply. And they'll call me going, "Hey, you never answered me." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did. You need to check your spam folder." Because I try to answer everybody, even if it's to say, "Sorry, I don't have time. I can't do it." Because right now, as I was showing you before we started, I've pretty much got my hands full with the amount of work that I've got to do, especially building buildings for people. I'm building a lot of buildings, a lot of dioramas and things like that, which is what I really like to do. But at some point in my life, before I get old and kick the bucket, I'd like to build something for myself, and I haven't had time to do that.
Right. Well, that is the ultimate goal, obviously. I mean, most people start the other way. Most people build for themselves, like you do with your decals, and then get the client work after. But you got the client work before you built for yourself.
Yeah, it was all very much serendipity how that worked. I mean, I started on this building here. This is going to be a diorama that I'm starting for myself. It's going to be like an old urban diorama that I started for myself. I think I built this 3 years ago, and this is as far as I've got.
Wow.
And that's it, because it just sits there, because I don't pay very well, and customers do.
Right. Yeah, that's the biggest problem too.
Excuse me.
Because I'll find myself taking money that a customer's paid me to build them a car, and I'll put it in to something that I want, like some of the money, and then that something I want ends up just sitting, and I never end up getting to it.
Oh,
and it drives me crazy, because I could have used that for other stuff, for other customer builds or something. Then by the time I'm ready to buy that customer stuff, I'm using my own money out of it, because I've already spent the money they gave me for payment to buy something I want that just ends up sitting and I don't do nothing with.
Oh yeah, so and sometimes it comes back to bite you, because you'll tell somebody something and then it ends up being way more work than what you thought it was.
Oh yeah.
And and you don't feel right going back and saying, "Hey, listen, I thought it was going to be this, but it's going to be this." You just suck it up.
Right.
And just
here's what's funny.
Just deal with it.
So
write that off is like lesson learned.
Right. The Ghostbusters cars, because you made the decals for all my Ghostbusters cars. That car in a solid 3D print with no interior, it's just hollow on the inside. That car, finest print available, shipped to my house, is under $50, or right around close to 50, but right around $50.
Right.
And I charge $150 for me to completely build that car with no LEDs in it. It's just the car itself.
For the amount of work in that's a fair price.
Right. Well, I just recently built one with an interior that the same guy that offers from Shapeway, He offers one with interior with the cutout windows, so you have to install the windows yourself, and fully detailed interior. That two-piece mold or that two-piece print shipped to my house was around $74. And I still charged $150, not thinking it was going to be that much more for a two-piece print compared to a hollow one-piece print.
Well, Shapeways shipping's got to be ridiculous.
Well, it's $15 to my house since the beginning of this year. It seems like every year or every half a year, they go up a few more dollars.
Yeah, it's $9 shipping and $5 for handling, and that's why I don't really use it.
Yeah.
I'm sourcing out my 3D printing elsewhere.
I've done that too, but there's some prints like that Ghostbusters car that he's the only one that offers that print, and Shapeways is the only one that has it. They don't offer that for sale to buy that print anywhere else. And it's just so much easier to say, screw it, they already have it. Let me go waste the money in getting it. I already am making enough off of that kit to buy it anyway. So it's not like I'm going
Well, he's
backwards.
got a sense of the whoever designed it has got a sense of security probably with Shapeways on the file, that file is going to stay there, because they think if they choose it to a tertiary printer, like somebody that else that prints files, that all of a sudden they're going to start, printing his stuff off and selling it behind his back.
Right. That's, he's got over 1,000 prints on Shapeways list of items that he sells. And he's the leader of passenger vehicles in HO scale.
Cool.
But you know how much something is, you set a price for it, and then that thing ends up going up in price, and then you don't adjust that value of the.
And no offense to anybody out there, but sometimes people don't understand the amount of work that goes into something, and the amount of cost and the amount of materials and just the little nickel and dime things. And it's like I had a gentleman call me about a couple of months ago. Well, I guess about 6 months ago. It was last fall, and he wanted me to do a downtown deco kit for him, and he wanted me to buy the kit, get the kit.
Oh wow! And
build it, and put the LEDs in it and decals on it and paint it up just like one that he saw that I had done somewhere else, and I believe it was the Atomic Cafe kit. And it's got a lot of stuff on it. It's got resin bombs that hang. It's got Atomic Cafe on. It's got lights. It's got decals on the side. Awesome. It's got a little diorama with cactus, because it's kind of set in a desert sort of place, like Area 51 or whatever. And there's a lot of work. And I've sold that kit I sold that build to somebody for decent amount. But I asked him. I said, and the kit itself was, I think it was $69.95 or $79.95 for the kit, just the kit. Mm-hmm. From Randy at Downtown Decal, he puts a lot of my decals in his kits, and I build a lot of his. Well, I used to build a lot of his stuff when I had time. Now I'm building a lot of scratch builds, and those tend to be styrene. But I asked him. I said, just to kind of get an idea of what you're expecting on this. I said, what kind of budget have you got on this? He goes, I really don't want to spend more than $125.
Then you're not getting it.
I said, I don't mean to be, I said, I'm just going to be blunt. I said, I can't buy the kit and everything that goes with it for $125.
Right.
Said, there's no way. I said, so, I said, you're looking at substantially more than that. And he goes, well, then just forget it. I'm like, oh, that's what I kind of planned on doing.
Exactly.
But by the time you get all that little cactus, the little kit, you get the little cactus in, that thing's like $14. And then the LEDs and the lights and all that stuff, there's another $10, $20. And then little detail pieces that goes around it, before you know it, you're into that for another $25, $30. And then decals, and then paint, and then time, and then just all that stuff. And there's got a little resin bomb. I've got it around here some. I've got an extra one because I bought 4 or 5 of them. I think those things were like $8 a piece, because they got photo etch fins on them and stuff. They were for a 1/32 scale aircraft, but I used it to hang over the building like a sign, like a little boy bomb. I'm
going to show you.
If you look on my website, you can find a picture of it if you want to put it up there in your post edit.
Yeah, I'll show you what I built, and I was selling this for 150 bucks. Now you can buy the kit from the same company that makes this. You can buy this kit completely built, not the Ghostbusters guy, but buy the kit for I think you can buy it anywhere from like 35 to 65 bucks on eBay, depending. But it doesn't come with the lights, and it doesn't come with the interior lights. It doesn't come with any of the people that I put in the interior. So I put the neon blue light on there. I detailed the whole outside, and this kit I had to actually build. I didn't buy the built kit that was already painted. So I was selling this for 150 bucks. I sold one, and that's all I could sell. I built 3 of them, thinking I would sell them for 150 bucks. I only ended up selling one. And it I didn't put that much money into it, but it's worth about 150 bucks. I don't know if it's worth any more than that. But I mean, with all the people and then all the time and the lights, it's got to be worth that, I would think. And I only ever sold one. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I would think it'd be worth more. I mean, you know, the time you get that EL installed and all of that stuff, I mean, that's money. I mean, the time you get all the other little LEDs installed, that's money.
I didn't put it on eBay. I probably should have put it on eBay. I didn't put it on eBay, but I don't sell anything on eBay.
Well, yeah,
I buy on eBay. I just don't sell on eBay.
You know, built buildings on eBay, sometimes they will bring a decent amount of money, and sometimes they'll just sit there year after year. I'll put them on there for what I want out of it, and if it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't. I don't care. You know, I mean, it's not a deal to me. I mean, I'll throw it in my store online. Someone will buy it or they won't. I mean, it's no skin off my teeth. If they do or not,
yeah, exactly.
I would like to sell them. That's the whole idea behind doing this. But I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to put 40 or 50 hours into something that a diorama or something like that. A diorama lab put 40 or 50 hours into it with all the little details and crap like that and things along those lines, and painting it and making custom decals for that kit, just specifically for that kit, and making signs, hand-make signs just for that kit, signs that light up and stuff, and then give it away. I mean, that's counterproductive. That sort of defeats the whole point of doing some of this stuff. I want people to get a decent deal, but you gotta be. Yeah,
you still got to be able to make money and not lose it. Well, I guess I have a question. I had a question that I've been thinking of ever really since I met you for the first time. What brought you into making what you make for decals? So what I know of your decal I can't even talk. Your gallery of decals, it's mostly like for business or buildings.
The selection, is that the word you're looking for?
Selection, gallery, your quantity of what you've designed and created. What is your desire or your pull, or what makes you choose what you do to make those decals or choose those specific style of decals? Or is there any pull in what you're doing?
I'll make decals for anything. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Now, I don't make a lot of automotive decals because they tend to be, especially your 124, 125 scales and things like that, because they tend to be 1 year, one model car decals that will fit only on that. I want to make decals that, like, if my HO decals, a lot of those will also work on O scale. A lot of my N scale decals will also work on HO scale. They may just be, there may be a smaller sign. It may be a window sign as opposed to a wall sign or a sign hanging up on the on a poster or whatever, big advertising sign. It may be a window sign or a smaller sign like that, like a poster or whatever. That's why I always, when on my decals, if you look at them, you go to my website and look at them, they have a green grid on them. And that green grid is a ½ inch. That way, in your head, you can visualize, okay, this is an inch wide. This is an 1.5 inches wide. This is a ½ inch wide or 3/4 of an inch wide. Because so many decals that you look at online, you've got no idea
Right.
what size they are until they're in your grubby little paws. And that was one of the problems that I ran into. I'd order these decals. I'd have this visions of, I'm going to get this big sign that I'm going to put on the side of a building that's a go sign. And it's going to be, 2 inches by 3 inches or whatever. And I get it. And it's like a 1/2 inch by 3/4 of an inch. And I'm like, that's not a go sign that would go on the side of an HO scale building. That's too small.
Yeah.
And so I started making decals that was like more realistically in proportion to what size it would be on the building itself, and then tell people what sizes these things are so they know. So they're not walking down that trail of mystery on what size a sign is on a building. And I like to do buildings and stuff like that because that's what I build, that's what I know. And they are so transferable to so many different genres. It can be an HO scale building. It can be an O scale layout. It can be a diorama. It can be something for so the tabletop community, the guys that do gaming and things like that, or just people that just build dioramas just to build dioramas. And there's tons of those. If you look on YouTube, I mean, there's just bazillions of channels of people that just build dioramas just to build them. And they got nothing to do with trains. And it's like people ask me, hey, how big is your train layout? I was like, I don't even have one because I don't have time. I don't have room. And I'm too cheap to spend the money. Because for me, it's about the art. It's all about the art of the layout, the art of the design. The train, there's a lot of guys that, they like the operation and control of the train and the DCC and the DC and all that stuff that I barely know what I'm talking about. That's really what interests them. And that's, hey man, that's great if that's what you like. But for me, the train is just nothing more than a kinetic piece of a larger work of art. It's just this little thing that moves around that will guide your eye through a larger work of art. And it's not so much about if it's switching tracks or going to a roundhouse or doing this or doing that or doing a back loop. And, that doesn't, I don't really, I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. And I admire the guys that have got the tenacity to do all that wiring and that layout and the electrical controls and control of the computers and stuff. That's really neat. But, for me, it's the scenery, it's the building, it's the story that all the little details and stuff and the things like that tell people, as opposed to just the train moving around, which I think it's cool, but it's just, and I love to have room. I would love to have room to do something, but I don't have room and I don't have time.
Yeah, I guess I can technically have the room, but I don't have the time or the want to make myself a train set.
Well, I
can make these modules. I don't mind making the modules, but I don't want to build a huge train set.
I probably got the room. I've just got too much stuff.
Yeah. Well, before we started the interview process here, you were saying you have like 1,000 models you have to build for customers.
No. It's
100?
Like 100.
I have 100. I just added a zero. Sorry.
Yeah, you added a zero. I was like 1,000. Oh my God!
What am
I sitting here for? I need to get to work.
100 individual buildings you got to build for customers, and
now to be fair,
days and weeks.
To be fair, that is like probably 3/4 of those is for one customer that I have been building for about 6 years now. I built one building for him that he wanted, this one specific building built for him that he couldn't find a kit equivalent for. And he called me up one day. He found me online. He called me up and asked if I could build this building. I said, I can give it a shot. I could just try. And so I built it and I sent it to him and he paid for it. And he called me up and he feigned like he was angry. He goes, man, we got a problem. I'm like, did it arrive broken? Is it wrong? I mean, I'm sitting there going, what is wrong, man? I mean,
right.
I thought it looked all right. I mean, could have been better, but I thought it looked all right. And he goes, no, the problem is, everything else on my layout now looks like crap. He goes, so what I'm going to do, I want you to rebuild all of my buildings for my layout. And I'm like, okay, come to find out this guy has got a 40x60 layout. That's freaking huge. It's got 3 islands on it. and
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
I think it's 40. I don't want to swear to. I believe it's 40 by 60. I may be wrong. It may be 30 by 40. It's big.
Yeah.
It's got three cities on it. It's got three different
Jeez.
towns on it. And there's another guy building. It's got 3 towns on his also. So there's 2 guys that are got these big layouts that I'm building buildings for. Now one of them has started afresh. He started anew, and he's sending some of those buildings over there are his that he sent me to church up. That's my terminology. I'm sure other people have used it before. I think I coined that phrase. It's called churching it up. You know, he'll send me a kit that's been built, but then it just he goes, I don't want it to look like a kit. I want it to look,
Okay.
weather it, detail it, things like that. And he also has me build a lot of scratch build stuff. And there's another guy where I'm doing pretty much nothing but scratch builds and things like that. Now, what I'm working on right now, this is the guy that's got the mix of stuff. This is going to be a Texaco station. It's going to come out another 13 inches here. And the problem I run into a lot of times with some of these layouts, it's like, I'll show you the picture of this building. I've got it taped here on my light. I don't know if you can see that or not. The reality of this building, I'll only get one picture. That's it. That's all I'll have to go by is one
You got
photo.
to figure out how to build the rest of it.
I got to figure out the size and all that. Now, the reality is this building, to build it to scale in HO, needs about probably 24 by 30 inches. Based on the size of this building, it needs 25 to 30 inches. I have 10 by 13.
Oh, geez.
So I've got to truncate this building into this space and cut a lot of stuff out of it, but yet
Right.
keep the essence of what the building is. What's the most important part? You got like 4 or 5 bay doors on one side. Well, you don't need 4 or 5 bay doors. That's just redundant. So you can just cut that down to like 1 bay door and do service and get a general idea of what the building was, because he wants to put a lot of buildings into a lot of spaces, but
Right.
I'm only allotted so much space to put this building in. And if you'll excuse me one second, I'll go over here and grab another one. I'll show you that I needed about twice as much room as I had.
Oh, geez.
Now this is a hybrid. I guess you could call it a hybrid. It's half kit, half scratch. This is what I get a lot of times. This is like, I think this part right here is a Walder's kit, but I've kind of modified it and put the awning on the front and all that stuff and the lights and roof details. And then all this part, let me get back where you said, all this part here was added and stuff. But this building in reality would probably be about this wide if it was just true scale of what it was, and it would be about twice as long as what it is.
Jeez.
You know,
it looks good with that. What you did with it.
But so you take it and then you just sort of, try to make it. So if somebody looks at it that's from that area, that is familiar with whatever this was, Kaiser Implements, is familiar with it, they look at, oh, that's Kaiser Implements.
Right.
It gives them, they will recognize the structure even if the size is technically wrong.
Yeah.
So you run into that a lot because real estate on a layout is valuable. It's one of the most expensive land out there, is the land on a layout. Because you don't want to fill it up with 9 square feet of plastic, all one building. You want to be able to have several different buildings.
That's what
I'm sorry.
That's what I did at the hotel.
You broke
The
up.
Bates Motel sits way too close. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I did with the Bates Motel, because the Bates Motel sits way too close to the house. But I thought, being that it's this whole module is like a backlot Hollywood Studios lot, I figured it can sit that close to the motel because with camera magic, it can look like it's supposed to look depending on how and the way they were going to film the movie or the TV show or whatever.
Well,
so as long as you see it and it looks like what you need. You don't need it to be perfect.
Well, another option would have been if you would have built that, if that's HO, you would have built that in and done a forced perspective and pushed it off into the distance,
Right.
making
Yeah, I
it
didn't
look
want to build it that
make it a
small.
lot further away. Because there's buildings I've built for people on different layouts where I've done an O scale building because that's their foreground buildings. I've done HO scales because that's their middle ground. I've done in scale buildings because those are in the background. And that way
Yeah.
it gives it greater depth. And you may have a layout that's only 10 or 15 feet deep, but based on that forced perspective, it looks like it's 30 or 40 feet deep. And you know, by continually decreasing the size of things off into the horizon, and you can trick that eye. It's an old Hollywood trick. They do that same trick in Hollywood and stuff like that, by just making stuff in the distance a lot smaller than it actually would be, just to make the horizon look that much further away.
They do that with buildings too. Like actually on the backlot tour of the Hollywood Universal Studios, every building, the second floor is a little bit smaller than the bottom the floor, and then the third floor is even smaller than the second floor. So it makes it look like it's a lot taller.
It's kind of like it's kind of like, I think it was Willy Wonka walking down the hallway where he got bigger because the hallway got smaller.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's good. The original, not the remake.
Yes, so the original's the only good movie.
The Gene Wilder version.
Yeah.
But I believe it was in that movie where he goes down the hallway and he continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, but the hallways
right.
smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that was one of the neatest parts of that whole movie. But yeah, but that's how I could have done it. I just didn't want to do it. I figured all these kits I can find right now real easy and simply, and half of them were already built. So I was like, just buy it, just figure out how to place it on there and then deal with the rest later. So,
but you know, I've got you know, a lot of the, you know, I've got a lot of single bills. You know, guys call up and want one building, one specific building for one specific purpose, things like that. It's not like there's 100 different customers. There's probably, you know, just a handful of different customers, but there's two people in particular that I'm building a lot of buildings for and stuff. And then there's a couple other guys that are regulars that come back about every couple of 3 months wanting something built. And things like that. And then I get a lot of calls for buildings, but you know, some people are just, you know, they're kind of fishing to find out what it costs, and other people just want to just talk to somebody, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
well, that's like the Ghostbusters car. I sell that one with no LEDs for 150, and I sell the one with LEDs that blink and flash and all that stuff for 250. And as soon as people hear that, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I did not even think it was going to be that much. I thought it'd be way less."
There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work there. There's a lot. Put the little tiny SMD LED. I never have understood that. Why is SMD LEDs that name? That's redundant. It means surface mount diode, light emitting diode. Well, should it just be a light emitting surface mount diode? That's stupid stuff you think about when you work by yourself. But you know, but like those little SMD LEDs, there's a tiny, man, and you're working with those suckers. I've got a bunch of them laying over here somewhere, and you know, they're hard to fish through there on some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, the Ghostbusters car itself has 5 spotlights, chrome spotlights that you got to drill out the middle of that spotlight in something that's a millimeter size big and not lose it, and then still fish wire down on the bottom of it so you don't see the wire. I mean, honestly, I don't do any of the LED work. I send it out to circuit. I am not that skilled, but to do it, so I still have to be able to make money, even though somebody else is doing that work. I just detail the crap out of the car and then send it over to them for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're farming work out in addition to doing your own work, I mean, you know, that's 2 people that's got to get paid.
Yeah. And then so once they get it, I'm waiting on them to finish it.
And then you still got to have enough margin in there to make it worth your time. I mean, if you're only going to make $5 or $10 on it, why do it?
Yeah, there's no point.
There's no point. I mean, you know, I'd go say, "Hey, you want fries with that?" and make that kind of money and do it in less time.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So you say you've been doing decals for about 9 years now?
I guess it's, what is this, 2021? So 8 years, almost 9 years. I kind of started doing this. I mean, I've always worked in art and things like that, in graphics. I mean, I've had like, you know, I was like did a lot of work on CNCs and stuff and putting in automated assembly lines all over the world for years and years and years doing that, and for Mitsubishi Machine Tools. And then like, that was like my real job, my grown-up job, so to say. But I always worked in art prior to that, which was a lot more fun, just not nearly, it didn't, you know, especially back in the 80s and stuff like that, barely put Raymond's on the table. Working for Doc Holliday Mold Company, because it's just a small ceramic mold company, and we would design their molds, do their sculpture, make their molds, make the masters and the copies, and go around, travel around to the different ceramic shops and things. I don't think those is as popular now as they used to be back in the day, but there used to be lots of, like, every little town had some shop that sold ceramics and made ceramics and had ceramic classes and stuff like that back in the 80s. And we would, you know, I would, and another guy that was working there doing the same thing I was doing, we would travel around to the different customer shops and stuff and teach classes on painting some of these things. We'd write articles for magazines, and I got these old magazines where I got articles in them, and you do, and stuff like that, and train them on those things. And then, you know, when my wife got out of school, we moved, and I got like a job at kind of like just a regular, you know, working for Mitts, and then they put me on a road traveling and stayed with them for quite a while. And then I started working for we moved again, and then went to work for another company as a maintenance supervisor, and then that just ended. And well, then you know the whole story. I'm not going to repeat it all again. Go back and watch it again. And then I started doing this, and I mean, it's enjoyable. I mean, but it's like anything. I mean, you know, there's days when you just don't want to pick up a paintbrush. There's days when you don't want to click on the computer and turn it on, or sit down and do something. It's like, I don't want to design nothing today. I don't want to do anything. And people's like, hey man, you work for yourself. You don't have to if you don't go. No, you do have to. You got to do it. You got to do it every single day, because there's people waiting on stuff, and they don't want to wait on you to get in the mood. They want their stuff when they want their stuff. So you just got to be, you have to be a self-starter. You've got to be able to have the discipline to go out there and just get, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that know me, and you've probably seen me. I'll be online still working at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be back up at it 7 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, some days it's just like, I just don't want to do this today. But I mean, that's any job. Any job's going to be, I don't want to do this today, but I know that my day is going to be about 18 hours long or 19 hours long, because I've got so much to do for people, and I want to get it done for them, because they're waiting, and I don't get paid until they get their stuff.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. So without custom decal builds or designs, what makes you pick the certain decals that you do make? Like the side of the building decals or window decals. Like what?
Probably when I'm building something, like if I'm not working on a custom, ever once in a blue moon, I will just take part of a day and try to work on something that I want to work on. And that is so rare, but then I will say, okay, like say this great big wall decal right here. I mean, I think I was watching some old color footage on YouTube from like the 1930s or 40s, some colorized. I watch a lot of that stuff from old days of people driving around towns and things. And I saw this great big wall advertisement on there of a building of advertising cigarettes. I think it was Lucky Strike. And I was like, going, those would be cool. Nobody makes those. So I'm going to make some of those. But normally I just try to think about, what does the market not have? What do people not have? What would be neat that people, because not everybody's going to build a serious layout. You know, there's a lot of guys that they're very prototypical. More power to them. There's times I like prototypical, and then there's times you just want to have fun. You know, you want to have a goofy name of a building or a shop, or you want to have something that's just totally made up or nonsensical, or you want to have just a total mixture. You know, I mean, your layout is your world. You're almighty above your little world. You can do whatever you want. You're not stuck to 1942 to 1953 or whatever. You can have, it's like someone said, hey, if you built a layout, which era would you build? I said, all of them. And they go, all of them? I said, yeah. I said, I would start a great big long linear layout. I said, it started in like 1850 with the early steam trains and the Wild West and things like that, and go all the way through probably Blade Runner or Cyberpunk 2077.
That'd be awesome.
And things like that. And just, you know, and who cares if you got a steam engine rolling through downtown Chicago in 1982? Whoop-de-doo. Right. It's your world. Do what you want to do. I mean, because I'll have guys call me and they'll say, will this work with this era? Will this work with that era? Will this do this with this era? I'm like, man, it's your world.
Exactly.
Who cares? You know, I mean, are you being judged by, you know, it's your, if you like it, do it. I mean, it's all about you enjoying what you're doing. You don't have to worry about whether or not it's period accurate all the time. I mean, if that's your bag, if you like to worry about total prototypical, you know, sticking exactly with that genre of that thing, hey, do that. That's what you like to do. But if you're flexible and don't care, then do that too. I mean, whoop-de-doo.
It's all into the beholder of the modeler.
Yeah, I mean, it's your world. If you want to have 1950 or 1940s looking layout with cell phone towers, go for it.
Right,
you know?
Right.
So what?
Yeah,
let someone else
build
figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, I thought if I were to ever build a train layout, I know in right outside of Vegas, I think that it is, there's a little tiny suburb or a little tiny town, super tiny, called Sam's Town. And since my name is Sam, I thought, how cool would it be to make a train layout with every single building having the name Sam something, Sam's Hardware, Sam's Liquor, Sam something, and then every street have some kind of version of Sam in the name of every street. And then it'd literally be Sam's Town because everything in that town was named Sam.
Well, a lot of buildings and streets that I build, they are on D Avenue. D-A-V-E.
Yeah.
D-A-V.
Yeah.
Dave.
That's awesome. There's another modeler. I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Dave as well. And
there can be only one.
He builds dioramas. He doesn't have a layout, but every diorama he builds is probably like a foot and a foot by foot maybe, or a 2 foot by 2 foot, or I don't know what it is. They're small dioramas, and he builds little tiny scenes in every one, and he's a master modeler. But every one of his buildings has something to do with his name. So whatever it is, like Dave's Speed Shop or whatever, and I thought, could you put all those little dioramas you made into like an actual layout type of scene, and you would have Dave's Town? You literally have Dave's Town. He goes, I never built any of these to do that, but they're all built in a sense to where if I wanted to, I probably could. I just don't want to. I said, but that would be so neat to literally have your own town. But I guess he does in a sense. He's just in all little dioramas.
It'd be a complete Davidtopia.
Yeah. And you can do that too.
If I ever get time. But it's like, but you know, there's other things. It's like, okay, here, I'll give you a couple of examples here. It's like down here in the South, I mean, you're down in the South, but you probably have them over in North Carolina, but I don't know if they go as far east as there. But there's lots of this around here.
Rock City.
Rock City and Ruby Falls. I mean, if you're driving through,
I mean, that's Tennessee, but yeah.
But I mean, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Western North Carolina, those you're going to see these on barns. You're going to see these.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, signs to advertise that go.
You're going to see those in a large geographical area. You know,
Right.
now, you're not going to see any of these in California, but who says you can't
No.
put one on your barn in California? What do
Right.
you do? It's your barn.
But
Put it on
California
there.
don't have any barns.
Okay, then Montana.
Yeah, right.
You know, and then like circus decals, you can do circus decals for things, some freak shows and stuff. Now, like these would be good for large tents, those large signs, the big signs you'd see hanging on a tent in
Oh,
a
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Or these would work really good on a wagon in O scale.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Or they'd be even huger signs, like a billboard sign in N scale. You know, so
Right.
you can
Well,
go ahead.
you know what we do have out here in North Carolina? I think it might be in South Carolina too. I'm not 100% sure. There is literally a crab shack or a crab restaurant in North Carolina called Dirty Dick's.
I know,
I'm not
I'm familiar
lying.
with Dirty Dicks.
Yeah. And I would like to get a billboard of that for no other reason, but just because the sign is so offensive. Because the sign will say, "I got my crabs from Dirty Dick's."
There's
That's the billboard.
Yeah, I've seen actually I think there's a t-shirt. They make a t-shirt.
Yeah, oh, they have T-shirts. Definitely have T-shirts.
And I think I remember that. But yeah, there's a lot of those that's got little punny names, I guess you call
Yes,
it, and stuff.
but see, coming from California, we didn't have that, like puns like that in California for no billboards. So coming out here to the South and seeing that for the first time, I thought, how the hell is this state getting away with putting that on a billboard?
Because that's the name of the
It's
business.
still
That's
there.
what they're selling.
Yeah,
It's truth in
I mean,
advertising.
it's a southern pun that you would not see in California. I mean, maybe today you might see it, but you wouldn't have seen it back when I was living
I don't
there.
know. They tend to be pretty humorless over there.
They are very humorous, but I don't know that they were that humorous then.
I don't want to offend anybody in California. I know a lot of great people. I know a lot of great people there. My sister works in Hollywood. She delivers babies.
Oh, geez, that's a rough city.
But she lives in
That's a
Tennessee.
town.
Figure that one out. She lives in Tennessee, works in Hollywood.
That is weird.
Flies
That's
out.
like, well, that's like living in Hollywood, Florida. Like, why would that even be called Hollywood? Get that whole entire city out of Florida and just leave it in Hollywood, California. That's where it is. That's
Yeah.
where it should stay.
I'll go to South Beach. That's where I'll be.
Oh, who
I'll go
wouldn't?
I'll go to South Beach.
That's the best beach in all the East Coast.
Yeah. I'll hit Kissimmee. I used to live in Kissimmee a long time ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Dude, I watch Beacom's Auto Auction in Kissimmee every single time it's on TV.
I can't afford to
And
live
the funny thing is,
I can't afford to live in Kissimmee anymore. It used to be a cheap place to live. It ain't no more.
right. Well, the funny thing is, if you look at the geographical map of Disney World, it's literally in Kissimmee, not Orlando.
Oh,
But
I
it's
said Kissimmee. I'm
Orlando.
sorry. I said Kissimmee. You're right. My mother-in-law
What are you
lives
talking
in
about?
Kissimmee. I was talking about Key Biscayne.
Oh, where's that at? Is that next to Miami?
Across from South Beach, Coconut
Oh.
Grove down in Miami.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
the first island. It's like the first island out. But but my mother-in-law lives in Kissimmee. So I thought about Kissimmee, and so, but yeah, she as her late husband calls it, he called it insert descriptive word rat town. You know,
Yeah, there's a. I mean, that whole little.
because they lived there before there was a
All of
Disney
that.
World, and
Right.
now he
When
hates
it was
that.
still good.
He hates that effing rat town.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a great place to live, no matter who you are, because you just go down there for vacation for a week, and you can see how much you wouldn't want to live there.
Oh yeah, and when
Just like-
we used to
just
go
like-
down there before, well, I didn't go, but my wife went down there before there was a Disney World. I
Yeah.
mean, she said it was just a great place to be.
It most
And-
likely was.
And yeah, and I mean, we haven't been there a while. She's moved now. She lives down in Sebring now, and but I haven't been to Kissimmee in a long time. But the last time we were there, yeah, I mean, it was just everything was just overpriced. It was just
Oh,
ridiculous.
so overly crowded too. It's really bad. It reminds me of Southern California. When I was growing up in the 80s, when I was young, you could go down freeways, almost any freeway, and not be stuck in traffic the whole time from the minute you got on it to the minute you got off. Now, in the 2000s and 2010s and 2020s, every single freeway in all of Southern California has traffic from the minute you get on it to the minute you get off of it.
Oh yeah,
And that's all 24 hours a day. There is no let up of traffic out
When
there.
I worked for
So
MITS,
dumb.
when I worked for MITS, we did a lot of installs out there in Apple Valley and Hesperia and Orlando and El Segundo and Redondo and all those places in Chatsworth
Yeah.
and stuff. And I mean, I was traveling up and down those roads all the time because we'd fly into LAX, we'd fly into Orlando and stuff. And you know, it was what was funny. Funny story. And I was in Chatsworth, and I went to dinner to the little seafood restaurant down the road where nobody spoke any English at all. Which, you know, mi español es muy poquito. And so yeah, poquito. But you know, because I worked in Mexico a lot, so I knew enough to get fed a beer, you know, and stuff like that. But I was there, and and when I went back to my hotel, the whole hotel was roped off with yellow tape, yellow police tape. There had been a double murder in the parking lot. And I was like going, I just want to go to my room, man. You know, I need to get up. I need to get up. You know, it's like, so I had to sit out there on a sidewalk for a while they cleaned up the crime scene, I guess.
Jeez.
But I also looked for the cheaper hotels when I was out there because we got per diem.
Oh, nice.
So they were paying $175 a night per diem in the 1990s, which is pretty good money. And I was looking for that $19.95 a night plastic sheets.
Right. Yeah.
Wedge a chair against the door at night because the lock didn't work.
And gunshots and helicopters flying over your head all night.
Yeah, I heard the gunshots when I was eating. I was just like 2 or 3 doors down eating at this restaurant. I heard the gunshot. I had no idea it was in the parking lot of the hotel. It was a drug deal gone bad. You know, and the buyer and the dealer both shot each other. And it's like,
oh, that's good.
They asked me what I wanted. I'm like, I want to get to my room. Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm too cheap to stay at the Marriott. All right.
Yeah. Those, and not that they were in great areas, but those days of 1999 a night rooms, those were the days.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it was like the 80s and the East Coast and like New York and Chicago, places like that before they started making it all touristy.
Right.
It was a little,
I think,
and that's a lot of the stuff I like to model. I like to model that. I used to spend a lot of time in Chicago back in those days, and or Chicago, and
Chicago.
But back in those days, and you know, before it was all totally cleaned up, kind of like kind of picture the Blues Brothers sort of in Chicago, State Street and all that, and the L and stuff, and the old L. And the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and just the abject poverty of it all. Because when I was up there, I had to stay in places like that because I couldn't pay attention, you know, better yet anything else. And so I kind of remember that it sucked, but you have fond memories of it because sometimes your life was a little less complicated.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you ever gone well, I don't know how many times you ever went to that RPM meet, but over in St. Louis, there's a guy named Vic Smith, and you might have seen pictures online or in train magazines or whatever. He has a layout called the City's Edge, and it looks like a Chicago, New York City scene back in the 80s. It's all grimy. And
like a 42nd Street, Wacker Avenue sort of hybrid.
And it's one of the most detailed and most amazing layouts you've ever seen.
I don't think I've seen. I'll have to look it up. I mean, because he probably got like from what is it? Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the company now. They make a laser cut version of the old style L track.
He's got an L train.
You know, is it the old style, the old girder? The old girder?
You know, I don't. It looks like an old L train setup to me, and all his cars and everything is 80s style. Is it
ITLA? ITLA? ITLA, I think, is the company that they're out of Chicago area. They make a lot of buildings like that, laser cuts, and they make the L style with the all of that, and it's really it's really good looking stuff. It ain't cheap, but it's good looking stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I ever did like a big diorama, like a 6 foot or something like that, I would definitely get like 6 feet of that section and do that. Get the old
Right.
train cars and graffiti them up and
Yeah,
all that stuff.
I mean, I don't, I in the model train world, I love the steam engine era way more than I like the modern era, but I love the modern era grittiness. If you make a diesel engine completely dirty, trashy, just grimed up to the fullest, and then have every train car graffitied to where it just looks like it's been sitting in the worst neighborhood ever, I love that because that's what you would really see today. But a lot of people like their stuff all nice and clean and not really for modern stuff.
One of
Old
the
stuff they do weather that.
One of the big
But-
layouts I'm working on is that way. It's like I call it ribbon cutting. They look like the day the ribbon was cut.
Right.
You know, there's no dirt on the building, there's no grime, there's no rust.
You hardly ever see that.
It's all pristine, ribbon cutting day, beautiful. They just lock and keyed it, and here you go. It's brand new building.
Yeah.
And it is, hey, listen, if you like that, that's your thing. Great. For me, it's just boring. But
Yeah, no, it is boring.
and I mean, I don't want to say it, to offend anybody that likes it that way, because to each his own. I've always been a very strong advocate of to each his own. But it's not what I like, because there's things that like I know a lot of guys that hate graffiti. I've had people call me and complain about some of my graffiti. That's just vulgar. We don't want to put that on. Hey man, a lot of these came off trains.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of them I invented myself, but a lot of them are self creations, and a lot of them are lifted off of train photos and cleaned up and stuff like that. And I mean, there's some stuff out there that's kind of vulgar, but that's just
It's funny you say
we
that.
live in at times.
Because I want to buy a set of your N-scale graffiti and I want to put it on an old Cadillac. There's a real Cadillac in Detroit by a company called Mob Steel. They make these like rims, and they took a 58 Cadillac and just graffitied the crap out of it, and it looks badass. And I want to kind of like resemble that car.
Yeah,
I figured N-scale graffiti decals would work a lot better than HO scale decals for a vehicle.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You can put those, like you can take N-scale decals and put those on like a 124, 125 scale car and make it look right, because there's nothing that says that you can't have a piece of graffiti on a car that's 3 feet long and not 30 feet long. And
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of stuff like that, and there's your house. Stuff sitting all over the place here. Another house. But like for example, this is some new stuff. I got new products, by the way. So we'll talk about that real quick. Like I'm going to try to make some graffiti that will go on these highway barriers. These are HO highway barriers, is what these are. The little concrete dividers on the road.
And well, you would see graffiti on them.
If you get into an urban area, you're going to see someone who's tagged it. They're going to be tagged.
Oh, definitely.
And I mean, there's both clean ones, and I know there's some in here somewhere.
Well, if you put graffiti on one side and then had the other side clean, then the person that's putting it on their layout could have the option of using either or, because you're only going to see it from one side anyways.
Right, you can just turn it around. And there's lots of damaged ones too. I mean, there's deliberately damaged. They look like they've been, hit with a car or whatever and stuff. And that's just, but I'm going to try to make some graffiti that will fit on that and will be, what's the word I'm looking for? Sized appropriately. It'll be proportional to the thing, so it doesn't look like you're putting the wrong side on it. These, I don't know about these here. These may not. These are the same thing in scale. Decals are going to be a little bit small there, but
yeah.
But more new products I've got out. I don't know if you've seen these. I mean, find it over here.
It doesn't really matter if I've seen them. It's a matter of if the viewers seen them. And I don't know how many of my viewers seen all your stuff. It
matters if everybody's seen it.
Well, what I'm saying is I've most likely seen it if you posted it.
Well, I got these are Vindo 8. Oh, can you see that? That's a Vindo 81. Lean it back.
Coke machine.
Little Vindo 81 Coke machine. I can't get it in close because it won't focus right. It's a little Vindo.
Yeah, like a 40 style. 40s, 30s, 40s.
These run from 45 to 55, but they were around to like the 60s. But you know, since you can't see the HO style, we do have them in O scale too. And I'm probably gonna make some bigger ones, but I've got those. That's a new product that's out. And they're not gonna come built. You got to put the decals on them. You'll get something that looks like that, and you'll get the decal and some directions on how to put them on. And the same thing goes with like, well, if you live in the South, especially this part of the South here where I'm at, you'll know about sun drop. That's what they drink. That's what they drink over here by the gallon. I don't. I think it's kind of nasty tasting, but that's just me.
Yeah, Sundrop's the equivalent of Mountain Dew for everybody else that doesn't know what Sundrop is.
Yeah, it's like Mountain Dew, but it has wood rosin in it. If you read the ingredients on the can, it says wood rosin, so you're kind of drinking a treat. But speaking of Mountain Dew, these are modern machines right here. There's a Mountain Dew. These are going to be probably early to mid 90s through to today. These are the ones. Now these don't light up. I've got them that light up, but these don't light up. An RC, that's what I prefer right there. That and a moon pie. But these are the ones these are kind of, some of these may be kind of rough looking because they've been in this box getting banged around here and need a new set of decals on them. But
well, that just means it was sitting in a rough hotel somewhere.
Could be, and you can tag them with graffiti too.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them with tagged. But you'll get something like this. You'll get just the plastic model that you put the decal. Now on the built ones, showing you this early. You're not gonna be able to see the light because it's gonna be too bright with the way the camera operates. But that's a real size. That's probably about a 80s style Coke machine. These are in development right now. All of these are in development. I've got probably 10 or 15 different styles in development. And the way I'm doing them, a lot of these folks, they'll release have released these things and the whole front lights up. Even the parts of the machine that doesn't supposed to light up, lights up. I'm fixing these to where only the sign and the buttons light up, you know, this size right here, because that's the way it should be. I mean, if you're prototypical, that's the prototypical way of doing it. And, you know, there's things that I'm like kind of lax on and don't care about prototypicalness. And then there's things like this that just sort of get my goat when they're wrong. You know,
right.
It's like that's wrong. You know, it needs to be.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. It's like building a building with a few windows in it, but your LED is so strong that it shines through the whole wall instead of just the windows. So
paint the inside of your buildings black.
Yes, exactly.
That'll help you on that. And I got some like little signs coming out. This you can't see that. That's going to say motel on it. I had a bigger one somewhere. There's a roof details like that manifold. It's an high back manifold, and this is some new ones. I've got some in the store right now on clearance. They're the old style model of the ice machine, and once those are probably gone, I'll probably release these. These are the new ones. I guess my camera is backwards from the looks of things on this.
We see it right on our end.
Okay. I guess that's what they do, so I can go like that. But I'm used to going just the opposite because that's the way it normally goes. But this is like the single door and the double door ice machine.
You know what you should do? Since you're putting LEDs in those Coke machines, you should put smoke. Yes, you should put a smoke machine in those ice machines with the doors open, so it looks like the frost is coming out of the doors.
I'll let you model that.
Right.
But what I'm going to do is I will sell a set of RC and a vending machine that is moon pie. I'm going to call it the Southern set.
There you go.
I'm going to have two machines. I'm going to have an RC machine and a moon pie machine, and I'll sell those two together.
Do they actually make a moon pie?
And if you're not from the South, well, I'm sorry, but you know, bless your heart. And RC and moon pie is like a thing down here. As a matter of fact, I believe there's a shirt that says RC and moon pie. It's a Southern thing.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's like
So
a
was
it's
there
like a
actually a
Tennessee.
moon pie?
It's sort of the same area as the Rock City. You know,
Yeah.
because they're both like sort of Southern products. You know, it's sort of
Right.
Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, northern Alabama, western part of North Carolina, Mississippi, things like that. You know, it's not all over the South. I mean, it's just kind of areas of the South that tend to.
So was there an actual moon pie vending machine?
Yes.
Or was it only like you can buy it on a shelf?
Yes. No, there's an actual moon pie vending machine.
Wow.
I will send you a picture of one later.
I believe you. You don't need to send it. I can just look it up.
There's an actual moon pie vending machine. Now there's no modern ones. It was an old one. The modern
Right, like
ones
70s or 60s or
probably
80s or something.
Probably 50s.
Oh, okay.
Probably 50s. It was an old style because I think they were a dime. They were a dime is what they cost. And but then the modern ones, they were like on the spiral.
Yeah.
Spiral machines, which they'd sell, you know, bags of chips and moon pies and whatever and things like that. But as far as being a purely dedicated, you know, like strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, I think they had a buttercream at one time, moon pie machine, because there's only like 4 or 5 selections on it because that's all there was. But yeah, there was an actual moon pie machine, and it was yellow like the old RC machines were. So they were both yellow. So that's kind of, I think that's maybe, I don't know this, I'm just theorizing, because I'm sure if I'm wrong, someone will let me know. That maybe that's where that originated from, because both the moon pie machine and the RC machine were yellow, and I think they used to set them like next to each other.
Oh, interesting.
So,
I'm sure they probably did.
That's just
maybe the same company owned both moon pie and RC. Maybe.
No, I don't think they did, but you know,
Oh.
but they were the same color back in the day. Back the old RC, you know, before RC was red, white, and blue, it used to be yellow and red. Back in the 50s, it was yellow and red, and then moon pie was yellow and red. But now they're like blue and white or blue and clear or something like that.
Interesting.
But you know, hey, does it have to be a real machine? Who cares? No, I'm going to make a moon pie machine. I'm going to make it a modern moon pie machine. I'm going to make my own graphics for it. It's going to be completely original. It's not going to ever exist in the real world, but it'll be RC and moon pie. And if you don't want something that didn't exist in the real world, then probably should skip that.
Because you're not getting it.
Yeah, probably should skip it then. But a lot of the stuff that I make is never really existed. I mean, it's just totally something I've totally made up. You know, and
well, your decals are great though, because like your old style 40s and 50s and 60s style decals, I mean, even if it didn't really exist, you could definitely see it existing at somehow, some way, somewhere, because of how you've designed it to make it look.
Some of them I try to make look like there's a real business, and some of them I've made that are real businesses that existed in my youth. You know, and I've completely recreated the sign from scratch of places that no longer exist. Like there's a set called the Pizza Pantry. That was a joint down here that had absolutely, I've eaten pizza all over this country and all over this world. And that was probably in some little podunk town, population 200, one of the best pizzas I've ever had. Everything was homemade. The sausage, the cheese, everything homemade. Expensive pizza, but that's why they didn't last. But my God, it was the greatest pizza ever. It was worth every dime. And I would probably pay twice that for it now. And they were like $25 then for a pizza when everybody else was selling them for like $7-8.
Wow.
They were worth it. They were worth it. And that sort of gets all to the root of it. Anything is worth, you know, it's you get what you pay for.
Right.
You know, if you want to buy cheap decals and pay $2 a set for something that's going to rip and fall apart on you, then, you know, hey, free to do that. Or you can get something good that's going to hold together.
That's what I wanted to also mention is your decals aren't expensive. Your decals are reasonably priced.
I need to look into
good. Well, when I mean not expensive, they are priced perfectly, in my opinion, for their worth. You could ask for more. You could definitely ask for more. But in my opinion, you can look online on eBay or look at like Circuit City decals. and they'll probably cost the same amount, but you'll get less. Like your sheet offers so much more on a sheet than you would get it at Circuit City or something, or a different company.
They're 4x5. They're 4x5 sheets. I don't know if I got a set laying here or not. Hey, I'm making flooring too in case you need flooring.
Oh,
But
nice.
I guess I got a set here other than this one I already showed you. Well, here's some Coke signs from. Those are like vertical signs for a wall. These sheets are actually like 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but you know, I kind of print them to give you a little extra room around here to cut and stuff. But the actual printable area is around 4 by 5 and stuff. I try to make it where it's fair, to where you get your money's worth. You don't feel like you're getting ripped off. I don't like getting ripped off, and I don't want anybody else to get ripped off.
Right.
Well,
in my opinion, I don't think anybody would be getting ripped off of your decals. They're great decals.
Well, I appreciate it.
And
Thanks.
you have such a vast quantity of variety, which is
about
really good.
About 800 or 900 sets. And if I had time to sit down, excuse me 1 second. Getting old people cough. Maybe it's the COVID. But if I had time, I would make a lot more sets than I've got, because I've got tons of ideas. I got a list a mile long of designs and things that need to be made. And I want to expand not just to trains. And you know, like I said, I don't really want to get into car decals, because you kind of limit yourself on one model, 1 year sort of deal on that, and one size. And
I've got an idea for you about that.
But I'm thinking about, as far as cars go, like I've sets for cars like the racing stickers and stuff like, it's stuff that's kind of generic that will go on a variety of
universal.
Yeah, that will fit on different vehicles. I don't want to like just do the stripes for a '69 Camaro, you know, or something like that, or the stuff just for a 442, or stuff for just for a Barracuda or whatever, because it's only going to fit on this 125 scale car, and that's it, and you can't put it on anything else. Now, I'll do a sheet of black stripes that you can cut out and put them on any car. You know, that's what you want. That's what you want to do, because that's the way you can cover more bases that way, and you can appeal to more people with the same set. And I'm also looking at getting into things like the sci-fi stuff, doing a lot of sci-fi sets with like futuristic numbers and letters and words and stuff like that, and little symbolisms and things that you would put on a sci-fi model, and things along those lines. Because I like building stuff I like building cyberpunk stuff and stuff like that. I never get time, but I like to. But there's all kinds of cool graphics and futuristic graphics and things that you can do. And I'm missing a lot of stuff from the future because I haven't been there yet. But I'm missing a lot of stuff from the future that I think could work, because I know there's guys that's got layouts that do futuristic layouts, you know, and there's guys that do. I saw this train set for Warhammer 40,000. If you're familiar with Warhammer 40,000, it's like a game that people play. I've never played it, but they've got some of the coolest models and characters that you've ever seen. I don't know nothing about the game at all, but I know that the models, the terrain features, the little stuff that goes with it, the scenery is just absolutely awesome. I mean, if you're into sci-fi and things like that, some of you are, some of you aren't. But if you're into sci-fi and things like that, some of it is just really, really cool. And there's so much stuff that can be done there. I've got people that will contact me and say, hey, can you make stuff for Space Marines? Can you make stuff for X-Wing fighters? Can you make stuff for the Imperial Army, the Star Wars and stuff? And then there's people that just want stuff that's just totally original, because they're creating their own universe, and but they don't have the graphics and the skills to do it. They got the skills to build the models, but not to do all the graphics and things quickly and efficiently like we can do here. So so we'll hook them up. But yeah, that's something that I want to get into, is some other things like that, because that's a whole area that I don't think there's a lot of it out there right now, really.
There really isn't. So I build model cars, 125th scale model cars. I've got tons of them. And I will tell you, universal decals, you can go with themes like Hot Wheels themes, or like oil and gas themes. Just do like just generic signs that in different scales. That way it could be like a little tiny corner window scale, which could also go on an HO car or a Hot Wheel car or whatever, but generic themed schemes for decals. Like you could do a Rat Finks, theme of all different kind of monster decals or whatever that can fit on a door, could fit in the bed of a truck, it could fit in a little tiny window, or it could, but you make different sizes of the same type of thing, and it's all universal for any scale.
I've made some stuff like that for people before. I've got so many sets that I've made for people that I could easily convert into a store set, because when you get a custom set made by me, unless you specifically request it and pay accordingly for, I own the decals. The design is mine. It may be your idea, but
Right.
I designed it, it's mine. And unless you buy it, then that's another story entirely. But but that's part of getting a better deal. But there's a lot of those that I could change into sets. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of folders of stuff that I could do.
Oh, I'm sure.
Do that with and like put them out there for people. Because I mean, you could do, like I say, you could do for flames. You could do stuff to put on tires for like Goodyear or Firestone or
Right.
Hoosier or whatever. And or I guess I don't know. There's probably somebody making red line, so you probably wouldn't need a red line.
You would think that, but I don't think so.
There's nobody making red line.
I really don't think so. I know I have a guy that makes me vinyl sticker white walls, and he can make them in any color, but they're a vinyl sticker. They're not a decal. And I can almost guarantee for HO scale. Well, okay, I'm talking about HO scale. Probably, you know what? I don't even think really 1/25th scale. There's not a red decal wall decal.
Well,
I think they're all white walls. I don't think they're red or blue.
Well, when you're doing, okay, I can print white. I can't print white in colors. I'm not set up to do that. White is a monocolor. I can print, because there is a printer that will print white and colors, but that printer is as much as a freaking car. I mean, a good one is literally like $20,000.
Wow.
And but but there's other ones that are cheaper, but again, you get what you pay for. And
right.
I can print white. I'm set up to print white and only white. And the problem with colors like red and yellow is that they have a tendency to be translucent colors. Now you got places like Micromark that make decals, but those are silk screen decals. They don't have the I print digital, and digital I can change the size to anything on the fly. I mean, all I gotta do is just, it may take a little bit in adjusting and tweaking things, but for the most part, it's a pretty easy thing to change it from one size to another size to print it out. And I make the files huge, because believe it or not, the smaller the image, the bigger the file needs to be, because the more detail you're trying to cram into a little area when you print. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get like these. I don't know if I've got any laying over here or not.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, because if you want the print in an HO scale to be just as visible as a 1/25th scale or G scale, you would have to have so much. Right.
You got to have more image data to have this super tiny print that's like maybe 256 of an inch tall, that if you got out a jeweler's loop and looked at it, you can still read it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's not just a series of white dots that just looks like a blur, because it's like when you blow a picture up and it gets pixelated, it doesn't have, you're losing the image data, because it's just getting, you're trying to cram more information into a bigger area. It operates the same way going backwards. You're trying to cram more detail into a tiny area, and the more detail you're trying to cram into a tiny area, the more information you need to have to make that detail. Right. Because it's all about pixels and the size. It's DPI. People may have heard of DPI. Dots per inch is what that stands for. Most stuff that you see is like 72, 96 dots per inch. A lot of the stuff I work in ranges anywhere from a low of 2,400 to a high of 9,600. So
Wow.
that's a little more than 72 or 96.
Just a little.
100 times more. So, but if I could blow up the picture to 100% on my computer and see the entire picture, it would probably be about 6 feet wide and about 7 feet tall. It's huge.
Wow.
It's huge. I mean,
That's
these files will be hundreds of megs for one file. And you know, so but that way you get better image quality and stuff.
Yeah.
And you also need a lot of resources to do that. It's just, you know, it's just something to think about, because I'll get people that will send me, and I say that because people will send me pictures, say, hey man, can you make this decal from me? And they'll send me some little tiny picture about this big on your computer. And it's like 72 DPI. And I try to blow it up to something like this, and it's just a bunch of dots, you know, it's just a bunch of little colored squares that you see when you do something. And it's like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. I'm not going to, I can try to interpolate that into something with more DPI, but I might push it to 150. I might push it to 175, but I'm not going to get it up to where I want it at to get really good image quality. And I'll say, I need a bigger picture. So if anybody's ever got custom decals from me, they've probably heard me say this from them before. I need a bigger picture. Another thing they'll hear me say is scale is not a size. Scale is a ratio. You know, because I'll ask people, hey man, what size do you need it? I need it 164. That doesn't tell me anything. I mean, 164 is a ratio. If I knew the original size of the image, if I knew the original image of the sign that you got is 3 feet wide by 5 feet tall, then I can do that math and turn that into 164. But if I have absolutely no idea what size that image was in the real world, 164 tells me absolutely nothing, because I don't know what size it was, because I can't scale it down from an unknown. It's like trying to do a mathematical equation where X equals question mark.
Right.
You can't, what's X? I don't know the value of X, so I can't come up with what equals B means. And so generally when someone will call me and say, I'll need dimensions, I don't want a scale, because that's not a dimension, that's a ratio. I needed a 1/2 inch by 3/4 of an inch. That I can work with. That I'll know. Unless you know
that makes sense too.
Unless you know the original size.
Right. That makes sense, because like with me, I'll just send you the car because I don't know any of that stuff. You know, I'll send you the vehicle I want the decals made out of, and you can just test print and scale down or scale up a certain part or whatever, because I don't know any of that stuff. I couldn't even tell you how to find that stuff. So for everybody listening, it helps to have the thing you want that decal to go on, and that'll help him figure out the size you need.
I know that, you know, some people, that this is a handy tool to have.
I have one of those.
And it's a handy
I don't really know how to use it.
It's a handy tool to learn. Okay, I'll finish that statement. It's a handy tool to have. It's a handy tool to know how to use.
Right.
It's a micrometer, and it's really not that hard to use. It's going to give you your full dimensions right here, and it's going to give you your smaller 100th and 10th dimensions here. This one here happens to be millimeters on one side and inches on the other, and I can change it out. I've got a digital too. If you don't, you can get digital ones on Amazon for like $12. I mean, they're cheap. I mean, this is a Batoya. This is high dollar leftover Mitsubishi stuff. But for the purposes of what we're doing and making decals, you don't need a high dollar micrometer. It's just ridiculous. But it's like someone says, I need a coat machine, it's HO scale. Well, what's that? How big is that? And I can sit here and go, okay, well, I look at it, okay, well, that's 20 millimeters tall, and then the sign is going to be on it. It's going to be right at 10 millimeters, and I can give them they can say, okay, so I need that 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters by 10 millimeters. That's easy to do, and I can work in millimeters or inches. It doesn't matter. I'm fluent in both. So you can. I hate switching back and forth between the two on a program. That annoys me to death. But I can do it. I've had people tell me that it's 10 millimeters wide and 3/4 of an inch tall. Pick one. You know.
Right.
I can do both, but then I can do both.
Here we
but
are in America.
I got to completely switch back and forth between the program. I mean, I could translate it that 3/4, excuse me, 3/4 of an inch is going to be about 18 millimeters. You know, there's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. So you can do the math and figure it all out. It's not a big deal, but it's just sort of like pick one and go with it. Don't tell me it's millimeters wide and inches tall. How many cubics is it?
Yeah, right. I mean that's bad. Don't do that. Stick with metric or whatever.
It happens a lot. Actually, it really does. It happens more often than you would think it would happen. But I
mean, they are trying to help. They're just not understanding exactly how to help.
And I get that, and I appreciate it. You know, and I never sort of, you know, it's just sort of like I'm sitting there going, you know, it's just more work, but I'd be really grateful if you could just tell me what size you wanted. You know?
Yeah,
that would make life so much easier.
Well, because I remember too. I literally remember when we were talking about those Ghostbusters decals. You were like, "How big do you want them?" And I said, "I need them to fit this car." That's all I know. And then you said, "Well, send me the car." So I was like, I could do that. There you go.
Yeah. Then I can make it. I can look at it and fit it and go. You know, because I think you told me it's like it's 1/64 scale or something like that, and I'm going.
Yeah. That means
how long does it need to be? You know, how tall is the door? The door is like 1/4 inch tall, so you want it about less than you want it maybe 3/32 of an inch tall is how tall you want that to be, something like that, because you don't want it going from the very top of the door to the very bottom of the door. You want to have some white space at the top and the bottom, so you're going to want like 3/30 of a second. And then how wide is the door? And then that's what people do. They'll tell me the full width of a door or a panel, and I'm like, but is that how wide you want it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't want it the entire width of the door. You don't want the entire height of the door, because you're going to have it centered on the door, and you want to have some dead space around it.
Yeah,
like you would on any vehicle or any door, stuff like that. But I'm going to try and make a lot more vehicle signs as another thing as I'm trying to work it on, and some of them will be, you know, nonsensical, don't exist, but you know, just little business signs for HO and maybe O and stuff, and maybe 25 and I think my family's coming home. And
maybe you know, some comical signs, you know, like street signs, like, you know, when you go into the mountains and you have a sign that says "Watch for falling rock." Maybe you can have one that just has the image of a spaceship. That way, somebody could just put that on their layout. Just comical stuff like that just doesn't exist, like flying cows.
I've got some like that on one of my, in the 9000s you'll find all the traffic kind of sets. I think there's one that's got like a falling cow or
that's awesome.
something along those lines. I'd have to look and see. I mean, it's been years since I've made those sets, and every once in a while I'll put something, I'll sneak something like that in on a set just to see if anybody notices.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. And they probably don't, because they're probably only needing like 3 or 4 decals out of that whole set. Right.
They'll never see it. But, you know, but some of the sets will have, you know, some of the sets and some of the signs will say something, you know, that has absolutely kind of a non sequitur on it that has nothing to do with the sign. And, and see if anyone notices, and most of the time they don't. I got that idea from when I was a kid growing up. There was a political cartoonist in the newspaper, and he would always write his wife's name in the drawing somewhere, hidden in the drawing. I don't even remember his name now. I don't even remember if it was national or local or what. But it was a long time ago, but I do remember that he would always put his wife's name like in the bushes, the shading, like write it real long and tall or whatever. And I would always
that you'd have to find it.
Yeah, you would have to find it. But his wife's name was always in the drawing. And so, you know, I would always sit there and look. When I was a kid, when my grandma or granddaddy would get down to the paper, and when I was 10, because it was down at their houses where this happened, and I would sit there and I would look, and my grandma would save all of them when I wasn't there. She'd save them, and it would keep me busy. Cool. I mean, you know, it served a dual purpose. It'd keep his little rambunctious kid busy,
right? Just like Finding Waldo.
Say again? Yeah, yeah. It's like finding
Yeah.
Waldo, which is like
Yeah.
I think her name was Charlotte. I think it was Charlotte. It's like finding Charlotte. And you
Yeah.
and you sit there looking for her name, and it's like I'd sit there for just and like I go on a winter vacation. It's too cold to go out on a farm or whatever for a kid. And I sit there and find all the names. I circle and put them aside.
That's neat.
And put them aside, and it's like, and so I kind of got that idea from that. Is like just throw something into these sets that nobody knows it's there but me. Nobody knows where
Yeah.
it's at.
Right.
So now you got something to look for. Because I've never told anybody. You drug it out of me, man. You're such a hard interviewer. You drugged that out of me. I've never told anybody that I put stupid
That's why
stuff
they
in
come
my
back
set.
to listen to me.
I've never told anybody I put stupid stuffs in my sets that nobody knows is there.
Well, there's a Facebook image with a text that says, "I got my vaccine. I should be good to go," or something along those lines. But in the image, it's got the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. That corporation made all the zombie monsters that come out of that movie.
I've got the games. And I've got the movies with what's her name, Mila Jovovich
Jovovich, yeah. And so that's kind of like the same thing. Like somebody was clever enough to take that image of the logo of that company, the Umbrella Corporation, and then put that text, "I got my vaccine. I should be good to go now."
Well, one of the things I've got, I don't know if you can see it here or not, is I've got vending machines for Soylent Green now in cans.
What is Soylent Green?
Oh my God. You did not just ask that question.
I've never heard of that.
You said you were a movie critic, a movie buff, and you just asked me what's Soylent Green.
From certain movies from the 80s, all movies from the 90s. But
1969, Charlton Heston, the movie.
Okay, before my movie critic time. I started like around 1974 when Blazing Saddles came out.
Well, you need to move it back about 5 years with some good movies.
I guess I do.
and watch Soylent Green. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but okay, here's one then. Okay, Mr. 1990s, 2000s. Here's one for Brondo.
Oh, heck yeah. Yes. You know what? In my opinion, one of the greatest futuristic movies ever made.
No, it's a documentary.
It is.
It's a documentary. It's not a movie.
Going.
It's a documentary.
Yes.
It's a sad commentary.
That is awesome. You should put that over our crops.
Yeah. It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave.
Exactly.
But
that is awesome.
I also have, and this is not a movie, this is a game, I also have E. Cola.
E. coli or E. cola?
No, E. Cola. E space cola.
Video game. What video game was that in?
GTA 5.
How did I not know that? That's the only game that I play. And I don't even play it anymore, but that's the only game that I played.
E. Cola.
I never paid attention to any of the food or drinks in there. I paid attention to everything else, I guess. Because I made a 187 scale vehicle from that game.
There it is, E. Cola from Grand Theft Auto. For you who don't know what GTA is.
That's awesome. I'm going to need that so I can set that vending machine next to my car from that
what
game.
Scale is it?
It's a 187 scale 57 Chevy that is in the online version only. Because on the online version, they would put these DLCs in the game every so many months. And they made a 57 Chevy hot rod rat rod with this big, huge blower engine in the front, took the whole front clip off, meaning the front fenders and hood, and made it look like a 30s hot rod in the front with the 57 Chevy body in the back.
See, I never played any of the online versions. I'm too antisocial, I guess. I mean, because those I just
have to be online to do it.
Yeah, it got to be online. It's more of a multiplayer sort of thing. I'm a single player console guy. When I get I have not played a game since probably Christmas, and I think
I haven't played a game since way before then.
It may be Christmas. I think I was probably about a tenth of the way through. I bought Red Dead Redemption when it first came out, and I may be a tenth of the way through it. That's how long it takes me to play something.
Yeah, I bought Red Dead 2, and I played it for about a month straight, every single day. and got so
That's the one
bored
I
of it.
meant. I meant two. I mean, I bought
Yeah.
two when it came. I got both of them. Now I played
Right.
one all the way through to the finish, and I won't tell you how
Okay.
that ends. But
I did the online version of that too, and there's just nothing to do in that game. It's just so boring to me. And that was supposed to be Rockstar's big hit game of that year, and it bombed.
what, Red Dead Original, the first one?
Red Dead 2. It was supposed to be bigger than GTA 5, and GTA 5 still is way better.
Oh, you're talking
Red
about the
Dead 2.
online. You're talking about the online version.
Just period, just a game. Period.
See, I
You can
like-
play just a regular game.
I like the game because a lot of times I will play that game just to chill out. I can get on that horse.
It is slow enough.
I can stare at that horse's butt for hours on end, just riding around, looking at the scenery. And maybe a bandit jumps out at me, maybe a cougar comes after me, maybe it don't.
Yeah.
You know, just relaxing, doing something that's totally mind numbing. I'm not playing a mission. I'm not trying to achieve some objective.
Yeah, you're just roaming the land.
I'm just, it's like, going out horseback riding without having to go out horseback riding.
Yeah. I got something for you.
I don't
This
get
is what I
saddle sores.
wanted.
I get lazy boy sores.
This is what I wanted from Rockstar, and they haven't done it, and I don't think they are going to do it. But right after Red Dead 2 came out, there were hints of the next year, or with this new Xbox that was coming out, that they were going to have GTA 6 come out for the new console, where the new console's already out, and it's still the game's not out.
Still going. That rumor's still
right.
going.
But this is what I wanted from Rockstar. I wanted Red Dead, when you finish the game, I wanted Red Dead Redemption to hint towards GTA 6 with a DeLorean stuck in a cave. The DeLorean from Back to the Future. Like, I wanted you to do that last mission of gameplay, and you found the DeLorean in the cave. And then if you found it, it would give you a preview of GTA 6. That may never come out, but at least if they made a goddamn preview, you would have something to look forward to. But still, there's not even a preview for it.
If you know what caves to look in, you can find enough gold to buy you a DeLorean.
If there's a DeLorean in that time frame. But that's what I wanted. I wanted them to do that. And there was little tiny, very little tiny hints of conspiracy theories about what happened.
I've heard they're coming out with a remastered Red Dead Redemption. Revolver was the first one on PS2.
Right.
But was it 3? It might have been 3. 2 or 3 anyway. It was Revolver was the first one, and but they're coming out with a Red Dead Redemption remastered.
Oh wow! Okay.
So
it needs to be remastered. That original game is so dated right now.
Oh well, good lord! It was like what, 2009 or something?
Yeah. Well, that's just like GTA San Andreas. They brought that back out for the new consoles, but they never updated the game. They just made it playable for the new consoles. And that game is so dated. It looks like I don't even want to play it. And I loved that game. GTA San Andreas was like my favorite game of all time.
Every once in a blue moon, when I do get a chance to play a game, I've got those little like SNES and NES. Boxes. I've got the real ones in storage, but I got those ones that's got like the emulators. It's got like 60, 70 games on it. And I'll still play Mario or Zelda or something like that. And another one I like to play, like GTA, when I play it, that's another one I just I don't play for the missions. I play just drive around, run over a few people if it's been a bad day, and get chased by
frustrations out on it.
So I'm wasting. Just run over just a bunch of people and stuff, and it's like, but they're not violent games. We got to worry about stupid. But Ratchet and Clank, man, I love Ratchet and Clank. You ever played it?
No, I literally only played GTA 5 and Red Dead. I don't play any of the other games.
Ratchet and Clank is a cartoony platformer that is just, you can just keep upgrading your weapon to the most wildest weapon. It's got awesome graphics. I mean, it's got the imagination that went into creating that game. It was Insomniac Games that made it. It's just really, really cool. And it, like, if you like cyberpunk or anything like that, just the looks and feel of that game, even though it's kind of cartoony, it could give you all kinds of ideas for a diorama. Looking at that, just playing that game. And sometimes I'll, you know, I'm not a gamer, you know, I'm not really a gamer, but I will play some of these things because they are loaded with ideas.
Yeah.
For other like LA Noir, if you want the 1940s kind of looks, Yakuza, if you're looking for the Japanese kind of stuff, if they, I don't care if I win or lose. I don't care if I finish it or not. I'm not a completist on that. I'll play it for a while and I may never touch it again.
Yeah, I did play Mafia. I bought the original Mafia when it came out, and I don't know when it came out. And then I bought Mafia 2 and Mafia 3, and then I think Mafia 4 is the latest one, or Mafia 5 is the latest one. I played all the Mafia games, and they go through every 20 years is a new game. So like the first game was in the 1920s to 30s, and the second game is 40s to 50s, and the third game is blah 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 blah.
I think I've got the game that's got like all 4 of them on it.
Oh, nice.
I think
nice. I ended up just getting the individual ones because I got them when they first came out.
Well, there's
nice.
My wife and daughter play a lot of games. There's probably a freaking 1,000 games in there, but it's on 4 or 5 different systems. And,
but I haven't played a game since Red Dead came out. I played that for a month straight, and I got bored, and I haven't turned my Xbox on since that. So since a month after that game came out, I haven't turned my Xbox back on.
That was what, 2019?
It was at least 2.5 to 3 years ago, I think.
I think it was about 3 years ago. I think it's 2018 or not, 2018 or not. Because I ordered the ultimate version when it first came out and got it with all the extras.
Right. I don't think I'll turn my Xbox on until maybe GTA 6 comes out, because that'd be the only game I'm interested in checking out.
So I play a lot of different games and just to check them out. And I may only play for 30 minutes or an hour or two, because I know one of those people who can just sit there. I got too much to do out here in the studio to worry about that. That I could just sit there and play a game for like a day. Now back a long time ago, when I didn't do this, I could when they had like Civ 4, I'd sit there and play Civ 4 half the night.
Jeez.
And that's back in the pre-internet days, the days before the internet. And
I just build models all day. I even do it when I'm working. I put my model right in front of my computer screen.
Building models in my spare time is kind of like working.
Yeah.
When you build models all day, your free time rolls around. Building models would be kind of like going back to work. It's like, hey, I just got home from Burger King. I'm going to grill some burgers.
Well, the only difference is that's the only thing I truly love doing. I love building models, whether it be a building or a car or whatever. I love building it, and I'd rather build it all day. At my own time, though. I don't want to have.
I like building models too, and I like creating. You know, I like to get some time to build some stuff for myself in my own style, in my own genre, instead of somebody else's. I don't mind doing it because, you know, it's like I said before, they pay better than I do.
True.
And but I like to get around to where I could do that. But even after all day long, if I wanted to take, because I can't sit down and just watch something on TV because I feel like I need to be doing something productive.
Yeah. Well, I do it both. I build and watch TV all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about just sitting down and going to the TV room where the family's at and kicking back in the recliner and just watching TV and doing nothing but watching TV.
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here big screen TV right there. You know, I can sit here and watch all day long, and that's why I always wear one. Before I got this big magnifier thing here that I use, which I love, I would wear something like that. That way I could sit there and look up, because I couldn't handle those that had the visor on them. Where I was trying to do this to see what was happening on the TV. But
I do call it quits once the sun starts to go down. Or actually, I think once it turns around 5 or 6, I call it quits for the day, and I don't build anything else after that. Because then I will just sit down on my couch or on my bed, and I'll just watch TV the rest of the night until I'm ready to go to bed.
I will probably build until about midnight, and then I pack orders for the next morning.
Wow. But see, I use a lot of my natural light that comes in the house. I open all the windows. And like this light to me is like, if I turn this off, this light to me is not nearly bright enough for me at
Well, see,
all.
I showed you the lights I've got. I've got like gobs of lights here. I mean,
Yeah. I just
can-
open the windows in my room and turn the TV on. And if it's good to go, then it's good to go. Now, if we get a storm running through here, which is dark clouds and black, I can't build because even the light in my bedroom isn't strong enough to.
if you go outside, of because this is a sunroom, it's covered with windows all the way around. I got all the blinds shut so I don't get blinded out here. But sun's not out right now anyway. But it's been overcast for 2 days. But if you go outside at night when I've got all the lights on here and I'm working, it looks like it's some sort of alien abduction going on because there's like a glow coming out of all the windows. It's so bright and things like that. Now, once I got, I was talking to tell you I had cataracts and got rid of those. Now I don't need bright lights nearly as bright as I needed before.
Well, that's good.
Because you put some kind of a brown tint over everything and you think it's like everything's dim and it's like you get that, it's like, whoa, who put these lights on?
Yeah, where these lights come from anyways.
Yeah. It's like, who are you? You know, and you start recognizing people that you've known, you don't recognize them anymore because they look different. It's like, I don't know who you are. We've been married for 30 years.
It's like having this big beard and then shaving and you're like, wait a minute. Where all those pimples come from? And where did all those moles come from that was being hidden from my hair?
Yeah, I kind of wore that joke out on some people. I go up to them and go, man, you looked a lot better when I had cataracts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My God, you're homely, son. I don't even think a mother could love that face. You'd probably take it to the pound or drown it in the river with a rock.
I love comedy, and I love watching all the Comedy Central roast when they put them on, because that's like the ultimate comedy to me, is when you can bash somebody that hard.
You need to watch. If you want to watch a good roast, you need to watch the O'Dean Martin roast.
Oh, I've watched them all. I've seen every single one of them, and they're just perfect. Except for the picture quality. I wish it could be in HD, but other than that, yeah, they're just genius at their craft.
You don't have much of that political correctness crap going on. It's just brutal.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'll watch these Comedy Central ones too. And there was a comment. There was a guy that said something about the person that they were roasting, that they looked so bad that when their mother gave birth to them, he ripped her and he fell on the floor, and the doctor looked at the floor and said, oh, you just took a crap, let's sweep that up and throw it away, let's get this rest of the baby out.
Your mama seeing that there was a baby. So your mama,
I know I've ruined that joke, but
yeah, well, you kind of did, but that's okay. It's like saying your mama's so fat it took me 2 bus tickets, a cab ride, and a taxi to get on her good side.
Right. But
your mama's so fat she got smaller fat women orbiting around her. Anyway, there's about 1,000 of those. I used to know a ton of them.
I think we all do. In the back of our heads somewhere, we've heard them all.
Yeah.
But Dave, I think this was a good interview. I think a lot of people that are going to listen, if there's a lot out there that will, are going to get to know you a lot better now and know what you're all about.
And business is going to drop off for sure now.
Well, hopefully not. I'm going to put a link to your website so everybody can see your product in the description below. And so if they have, if you want, if you don't want your website on there, I won't put it on there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I mean, you know,
if it helps you sell
that's
stuff.
That's why we're here to promote the business and help the business, help the hobby, help people find. Because one of the things, one of the things I watch when I watch on YouTube videos is I like to find out about new resources for stuff that I can find that maybe I didn't know about. I mean, I watched some of these, like I said, we were talking earlier before we was doing this. I'll watch diorama and building videos on everything under the sun. It's got nothing to do with trains, nothing to do with anything like that. Even people making doll houses, because I thought about getting into making decals for doll houses for windows and carpets and rugs and all of that. I mean, it's a market there, and anything like that. And so I'll watch stuff on that, and I mean, I'll find out about a resource like, man, I could use that to do this. I never even heard of that product. And so, you try to build up a list of stuff, and before you know it, you've got all this crap, and you don't know what to do with it all. And
well, that's why I like having you on here, because I know for a fact. Yeah, I know for a fact that there are some people in the HO 187 scale world that's never heard of you. Not a lot of people, or not a lot of people haven't, but there are some that haven't. So.
Well, those are the lucky ones that haven't heard of me
yet. Or unlucky. But hopefully this will be able to give them an insight of another niche, another handle, another way to.
Well, one of the things that in addition to having all those different sets of decals that I've got, I'm always coming out with new decals. I'm going to be coming out with more new decals. And I am really going to start working on coming out with a lot of new, smaller things, little detail parts like this. I mean, this is like these ice machines. This is stuff that there's probably 50 different people making stuff like that. I'm going to start looking for the things that people don't have. That's what I want. That's the stuff that I want to put out, is the stuff that don't have, or the stuff that's out there now, but I know I can do it better. I'm not saying that somebody else's stuff is not good. I'm just saying that I can do it better. That's all. I mean, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but it's like I've seen some of these Coke machines. I think I was telling you online, and the they may be fine for what you want to do, but some of the print quality is just really kind of subpar, in my opinion. I mean, that's just my opinion, because this is the takeaway that I want people to know about anything that they get from me. If it's not good enough for me, it's not good enough for you. And believe me, I've got some pretty strict, pretty high demands on the quality of stuff. And I'm not going to sell you something that I wouldn't use myself or wouldn't accept myself. It'll hit the trash can before it'll ever hit the door, because I'm not going to expect you to settle for less and say, okay, well, I'm going to make this really nice thing for me, and here you can have this piece of secondary crap over here. Now, I'll sell seconds on my website, which are probably better than some people's first, but I will sell them on my website, and you can get them, but you're going to buy them with the full disclosure and knowledge that these are not the top quality dog. That's why you're going to get them cheap, because they're seconds. Because some of them are nice enough that I don't need to throw away, that you could use for whatever. They got a few good sets on them, or it was half the page was a misprint, or a third of the page was a misprint or something, and you can just cut that off, and the rest of it's perfectly fine, and they'll be priced accordingly. But there's not a lot there. I've got a big stack of them over there, probably about 20 or 30 sets I need to get online, but I haven't had time to list them yet, because I try to put a picture of them up in addition to not just saying what it is.
Nice.
So you know what you're getting.
Well, I'll have the link to his website in the description. I'll have a link to his Facebook page, so you can also see, contrast, whatever, get a hold of him any way you want to from those two links. Anything else you want to?
The only other thing I'm going to say is I'll say, like I say on my channel, which I don't get to put a lot of stuff on my channel. I don't have time, but I always says, hey, it's Dave from Dave Decals, daveart.net, DAVART.net, or davesdecals.com. Go there. But that's about it. And I do have a channel. I got some build videos on there. It's not very many.
I'll put a link to that too.
And I'm going to try. A lot of people ask me, when are you going to do more build videos? I'm going to try to do it, mostly do scratch builds and stuff like that. I don't really think nothing about it, because I'll talk to people and they will talk to me about, they didn't know this, they didn't know that. And I do it every day. So I kind of take it for granted that I kind of think everybody knows that, and the stupid little tips and tricks that you can do. If you're putting a couple of pieces of styrene together that's got a texture on it, put some MEK on it and just rub it down with the back of like a scalpel, or I don't use X-Acto knives, I use scalpels. Rub it down and you can blend it and make that seam go away.
That's good info, Dr. Dave.
Say again? Oh,
That's
Dr.
good
Dave?
info, Dr. Dave.
That's right. Scalpels too, much better tip. They don't break as easy as they do on X-Acto knives.
Now they're surgically designed. They better not break.
Swan and Morton. You can go if you got a friend who's a doctor or somebody works in a hospital. These stupid little blades have expiration dates on them. They're stainless steel. Why would they expire? But hospitals can't use them once they pass the expiration date. And they'll throw them away. So if you got somebody who works at the hospital, you say, hey man, got any blades that you're going to be pitching? Same thing in a dentist office with algalan molding gel and stuff like that. It's got an expiration date. It's medical. It's got expiration dates on it. They throw all kinds of crap away. That's why you got a freaking heart attack like I had. It cost $150,000. And
that is some good info.
You know, but check with if you're friends with your dentist, if you're friends with your doctor, if you're friends with a nurse or know somebody like that, man, there's stuff they throw away. It's perfectly good. There's like some plaster and molding stuff for dental work and things like that, and these blades and stuff, and you can get them, free.
I just want to use the used stuff that they've used in everybody's mouth before.
Hey, I'll use it. I don't care. If it saves me some money, but like these are brand spanking new. These have never been opened. They expired 2017, 11/2017.
That's insane.
How can a stainless steel blade expire? Steel going bad. They're sealed. When you get them, they're going to be sealed in these little hermetically sealed bags like that.
Wow.
So, they come 5 to a bag. So, but I prefer them because every X-Acto, I've got a ton of X-Acto knives here. There's like 10 of them laying here. Stinking little tips break on them.
Yeah.
First time you go cutting a piece of styrene or whatever, and you try to make a sharp turn to cut something, you're trying to do like an intricate cut, tip a break on it. Or if it rolls off your desk, tip a break on it. This one here, I've had this blade on here for probably 3 days now because I change it pretty regular because I use them all day long. Tip is still perfectly fine on. Carbon steel.
That is great info right there. I guarantee most
that was
people
worth
didn't know
watching
that.
right there, man.
Yeah,
That was
and
worth
it was
watching
at
all
the
the way
very
to
end of the
the end.
video, so you better watch until the end.
It was worth watching all the way to the end because don't be fast forwarding to the end. You gotta sit through all the rest of the nonsense.
I don't put timestamps on any of these videos, so if you want the info, you got to watch it all.
Yeah, so some valuable information stuck in there somewhere, man. It's like the winning lottery numbers, but you don't know where it's at.
Well, right on, Dave. This was great talking to you. I'm going to end this episode. I'll have all those links in below in the description, so be sure to look at those. And if you want to stay on, I'll just end this episode and we'll say our goodbyes after that. So hope everybody liked this episode. Don't forget to read the description. Like and subscribe if you like it, and if you didn't subscribe yet, and comment if you have any questions. I'll answer them. Or
one last thing before we go, I will get with Sam, and I will try to get a discount code for anybody that's watching that will go from the time this thing airs to maybe like a month or 2 out after that. It won't last forever, so you better watch early, or you lose out. But I will get him a discount code for save you some money, man.
And that'll be in the description. That's the only way you're going to get that code. So how about that?
We're only going to put one letter in every 15 minutes.
Right. So you got to come back every 15 minutes to get it.
No, but I got weathering powders. They're natural earth pigment powders. I didn't even talk about those. I got weathering powders, natural earth pigment, no chalks, no pastels. They're 100% earth pigment. Well, there's like, you're going to get real technical. They're 99.97% real earth pastels and no chalks or anything like that. Which, if you've ever tried to weather a building with a pastel or chalk and you go to seal it down, it disappears. Natural earth pigments are the same thing the caveman used that's still on the caveman walls from 40,000 years ago. That's how good
they never sealed it.
Say again?
So they'll last. They never sealed it, so
That's
it'll
right.
last forever.
They never sealed them, and they're the same type of pigments that the cavemen use, or caveman pigments. That's what I should call them. Caveman
Awesome.
pigments.
It'll be on his website. So check
It's
it
all
out.
there, man. Check it out. There's galleries, there's tips and information, and there's even places to spend money.
What?
I know.
Even better. All right, everybody. Until the next episode, I hope you like this one. You guys stay good and be safe, and we'll see you the next time. Later. All right, that was Dave from Dave's Decals. Pretty cool guy. I liked him. After this recording was done, I talked to him for probably another hour. And before the recording started, I talked to him for probably 45 minutes before that. So we have a lot to talk about. And yeah, you guys, he's coming out with some new stuff. He's tried to show you from the camera that he had wasn't as good as, you know, to hope for, but it's all on his website, and new products are coming out later this year too. So stay tuned for more from Dave's Decals. But definitely check him out if you're looking for building decals, sign decals. He's got decals for almost everything, and they're great quality decals. I recommend it. I've used plenty of his stuff in the past, and I'll continue to use his stuff. He does great work, and his prices are very reasonably priced for the quality you get. So definitely check him out. I'm glad that I finally got him on, because he's literally the first company product seller. I guess he's not the first, you know, talking to Greg Dixon selling his stuff and everybody else selling their stuff. I guess he's not the first company, but he's the first, like, I don't know, non 187 scale company person I've talked to, because he's making decals for HO and other scales. So it's more of a decal company than it is an HO or 187 scale product. Anyways, I've been trying to get him on for probably the whole time I've been doing this podcast. So I'm glad I finally got him. And yeah, I hope you guys like it. Don't forget, links in description, and the Patreon is in there if you choose to be a part of that as well. But other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Watch these videos here. Subscribe to this right here. And you guys have a great night. See you later.